What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Press X Podcast, your weekly podcast for gaming news and opinions coming at you each and every Monday. I am Kevin McManus, and today with me, nobody. I'm doing not something different, but my schedule is drastically changed, and will pretty much drastically change going forward. With that said, I might need to figure out a way around certain things, maybe through the Skype or through doing these solo podcasts or, whatever it may be. So work with me as I kind of massage through it and figure it all out. But with that said, I should have a good show for you today. Anyway, lots of news to cover, and that's going to be the bulk majority of it because I didn't play too much this week in particular. But anyway, let's just hop right into it. This week, these are the games that I've played. I've played Dark Cloud 2, which is a game I've been talking about a lot. I'm going through doing the dungeon crawling aspects of it. It's just really, really good RPG. Really meaty for a PlayStation 2 game, and not in like a grindy way. It's just, there's a lot of levels and stuff, but the game is just so far ahead of its time, and it felt like it just had so many ideas that they wanted to put in. Every level is procedurally generated, which is not something that you really saw that much on PlayStation 2. And on top of that, just the ability that there's all these mini games and things that they have built into the game, and mechanics and monster capturing and persuading monsters by talking to them. Now it just sounds like I'm describing Persona, I guess. But there's just a lot going on. The combat is just deep enough, just like tactical enough, with your ability to block and dodge and kind of piece together your own combos and learn how many hits something can take before it's going to retaliate and all this stuff. Really, really phenomenal stuff. And I've touted it before. I'm on the 4th chapter of 6 in the game, and I'm kind of cruising right through it. I finally hit that turning point where my power level and the power creep of the game are kind of going up evenly, and everything's a challenge, but it's not frustrating. I'm in that perfect sweet spot. I will say the first 2 chapters of the game, very tutorial heavy, very endurance heavy. You need to really figure out what you're doing to optimally do it. But once you get past that little hump, it is really phenomenal. So I recommend picking that up on the PlayStation 4 store. Obviously, if you can get a PS2 copy, go for it. There is some weird emulation bugs. This is something that I didn't really talk about because it's still not a problem. They're really just graphical glitches. But there's definitely issues with emulation where there's little tears in the screen at some point, and I'm assuming that's the emulation and not the regular game. I do have the regular game, but I've never made it to where I was in the regular game. Just every once in a while, there'll be a little bit of screen tear, sometimes when going through menus or talking to characters. So I don't really know what's up with that. But anyway, other than that, I've been playing Octopath Traveler. I'm doing my my bypath Traveler, as Nick said. Basically, I'm playing as Primrose Merchant, going through it. I went and got my secondary classes. I didn't realize how loosey-goosey the secondary classes were going to be in this game. I thought it was okay, you do this challenge, and then it's this big thing, and you get this secondary class. No, you kind of just pick it. It's a little bit lackluster, actually. But it's awesome because you can just go get them and kind of swap them on the fly, which is really cool. So it just really opens up the game in a way to let you experiment and deal with enemies kind of how you want in any way possible. And that's really the shining star of this game. It's got, even though it's actually just a very railroaded game that has the same sequence of events happening over and over and over, the fact that they let you do the combat basically any way you want is the shining star. And that's what makes it addicting, and that's what makes it fun, and that's what makes it one of the best games you can play on Switch. So, like I said, we've talked about it for weeks. Octopath Traveler. Mwah. Other than that, Mega Man X Legacy Collection Volume 2, Platinum Volume 1 last week. Had been really busy this week. Haven't really gotten to play much of this. I did beat all the enemies in Mega Man X5, and boy, is X5 really lackluster, especially when compared with 4. It feels like a reskin and a retread in almost every single way. I didn't like X3 that much. I had a lot of problems with X3, and I think a lot of that boiled down to me trying to 100% it to get this platinum, and I'm actually not working on 100%ing these ones. But X5, just every level's reminiscent of a level from X4. Almost all of the enemies are just reskinned and palette swaps of enemies. Some of them like move faster and stuff, and that's about it. And once you get to kind of the final castle area, it's even more X4 stuff. Like, I don't know, it's just very lackluster. It's definitely the one that I'm least interested in out of all 5 that I've played so far, as I'm kind of going through and re-reviewing them in my head, and I'm a little bit disappointed in it, I'm not going to lie. The sprite work and stuff has improved, but like I said, it's all just X4 stuff kind of polished up, and the only new mechanics that they added are not great. They're a ducking mechanic, which just lets you duck, so that's kind of fun for new enemy patterns and stuff, so that one's okay. And then there's this weird like grind mechanic where there's very situational ropes that are scattered throughout the levels, and you can jump onto these ropes and kind of hold on and scoot across them. And that's it. And like you can use them to, if there's a whole bunch of them, you can like climb up on them, or you can use one and like scale a whole thing, and there'll be enemies trying to knock you off and kill you, and all the instant kills and stuff that Mega Man's known for. But yeah, just like overall really lackluster, especially compared to the last 4 that I played. That being said, I've watched some footage of 6 and 7 and 8, and I'm kind of actually getting excited to play 6, because I actually kind of have a couple fond memories of 6, even though a lot of people think it's one of the worst ones, and that may be, I haven't gone back to it. But at least all the enemies and stuff and the levels and the designs in X6, look new. Like they're not just reskins. So I'm excited for X6, and I like the music in X6 a lot. X7 I'm excited to play because of how bad it is, but I've heard it's actually fairly improved. Now you can only polish, a turd so much, but they actually remastered X7. Like, this is not emulation, like the way X1 through X3 are just being emulated, and they're actually off by a little bit. I'm not going to get into it too much, but the pixel count is incorrect, so there's some stretching on the pixels, and that may have been why it felt off to me. In X7 and X8, they actually like HD'd the game basically, though it's not widescreen. But they went and they made everything crisper, and it runs better. There's no like frame drops and stuff like there used to be in those games. So I'm kind of excited to hop in there. And even if X7's just a disaster, I'm interested to watch the car crash, And then I've said before, I haven't played X8. I'm probably going to end up playing X8 on stream as kind of my like, this is my first new Mega Man since Mega Man 10, I guess, real long time. So look for that. That'll probably be a little while away though, because I still have a couple of them to play. And that's really it. Other than that, I've been hopping into Fortnite a lot less recently than I normally play. I've just been kind of doing my dailies. Got a little bit salty because there was a skin that I really liked, and I was 100 V-Bucks off getting it, which is the currency for the game. And to get V-Bucks, you either earn it by doing your daily challenges and stuff for your battle pass, or you buy it, and it's like $10 is 1,000 V-Bucks. So they're basically $1 for 100. And there's no like buy $1 worth. They always do the bulk thing. So it's like $10 worth, $25 worth, $50 worth, $100 worth. Those are the only breakdowns. And I need 100 to buy this dumb skin, and I'm like, I'm not buying $10 worth of V-Bucks. Like, so I guess I'm just not getting the skin. It's just a little frustrating. At least Pokemon Go has the $1 option in their dumb marketing, or their monetization menu. Like, if you just want $1 to round out your money, you can do that, and Fortnite doesn't let you do that. But they also don't need to, because they are making billions of dollars, so they're doing something right. What do I know? But like I said, that's it for what I've been playing. Not too much, very little of everything. I almost finished Chapter 4. I almost finished Chapter 3 in Octopath, and I almost beat X5 in the X collection, so not too much going on. But let's jump into kind of the bulk of this episode, which is going to be the news, because like I said, there is quite a bit to go over, and some exciting announcements and some kind of prediction stuff going on. So first off, PlayStation Plus games finally got announced. People were a little bit worried about what was going on, like when they were going to announce it. There was some people leaving PlayStation and stuff. Stuff was getting mixed around. What was happening. They finally announced the August PlayStation Plus games, and we are getting Mafia 3 for the PlayStation 4, which is a substantial game. Definitely a good candidate for PlayStation Plus. I like my PlayStation Plus games being either indie games that I've never heard of that are really cool, or being these AA-ish style games where I may have missed them at their launch because, some people said they were repetitive or, they were good, not great type situations. And those are the gems that I really like on PlayStation Plus because it lets me guilt-free kind of hop into that game and form my own opinion on them. So Mafia 3, perfect candidate for this. And another perfect candidate, perhaps even a better candidate because it's the other option for PlayStation Plus, is Dead by Daylight. And that other option I'm talking about is multiplayer games. Multiplayer games that are multiplayer only and thrive on these communities. They need a lot of players. They need a big install base. When you give the game out for free, your install base is going to jump at least a little bit. So Dead by Daylight is it's very similar to Friday the 13th. A lot of people said Dead by Daylight was a better game than Friday the 13th, but Friday the 13th was more fun. So Friday the 13th kind of took over. But it is there's a group of people trying to escape. There's one person asymmetrical multiplayer. One person is playing as the killer, and the killer is in first person in this game, which is cool. So they don't have that, peripheral vision that they can, scope things out with. And they are trying to capture the counselors or whatever they call them in this game and kill them off before any of the counselors escape. And the counselors all have their abilities, like this one's good at the generator, like fixing generators and car parts and stuff like that. And they're kind of working together trying to get out. Real cool. Been wanting to play this game for a long time. Haven't wanted to buy it because I think it has a kind of a aggressive DLC plan where they are getting the rights to all of these horror movie characters. So I think that there's like Leatherface and there's Michael Myers for sure. And I think Freddy Krueger might be in it. And like they have a whole bunch of them. But they're not as fully realized as I feel like they could be. Whereas Friday the 13th was obviously pretty fully realized because it was focused on one character. With that said, I'm interested. Maybe I'll dabble in it. Maybe I'll end up really liking it and end up getting one of those DLCs or something to kind of support the game since I will be getting it for free. But very good game to give out on Plus once again. Kind of those mid-tier multiplayer games. Next up on PS3, we have Bound by Flame, which I could have sworn was given out already. Serious Sam 3. On PlayStation Vita, we have Space Hulk and Draw Slasher. Draw Slasher, I vaguely remember. And I remember wanting to play it, and I don't think I ever got around to it, so it's cool that one's free. On top of that, they're giving out a PlayStation VR game again, which is really nice. I was hoping that they'd start rolling into this one VR game a month situation, and we are getting Here They Lie for PlayStation VR. This, I've heard, is an awful PlayStation VR game, and I've also heard it's a pretty fine PlayStation VR game. Basically, what it comes down to is the controls, the motion sickness. This has full range of motion, and a lot of people get super sick really easily doing that. So I'm excited to hop into it because it's always scary buying a PlayStation VR game and not knowing the extent of motion sickness that you could possibly get from the game. So it's nice that you'll be able to get this game for free if you have VR and maybe see how your VR legs hold up. I actually think there is a demo available of this game, as there is a lot of PlayStation VR games, and I believe I played it and thought it was a little cheesy, because it's very much like Jump Scare the game. It's a horror game. I know this game is playable in non-VR, but I don't know if we're going to get a non-VR version for this, or if there's something weird going on with this particular version. So if you are interested and don't have VR, don't tune completely out, because you may be able to play it. And then, on top of that, even more exciting, I think, you get Knowledge is Power, which is the game I got fairly recently, and I've talked about it on the show before, but it is a PlayLink game, so you're playing on your phone while you're playing with the PlayStation 4, multiple people, I think it's 3 to 6 players, possibly, and it is just a trivia game. They ask you categories, you pick your category, and then they ask you a couple questions based off the categories, and you get these kind of punishments to do to each player. So, for instance, you can quote-unquote freeze their phone screen, so they have to keep tapping on it to break it before that they can answer. It's all about answering as quickly as possible, and all of the things that hurt you are stuff to slow you down. Some letters are going to be missing from the answers. You're going to have to clean your screen off. Your answer's going to be frozen. You're going to have to break them out. Just stuff that the questions aren't super hard. It's just about answering quickly. And I thought it was fun. I think it is a totally reasonable party game to get. It's very good for people who aren't quote unquote gamers. You play on your phone. Very much, it's like an inferior Jack Party Box. And that's fine. And for free, that's even more fun. So I think that's a really cool gift. And that's everything that PlayStation's giving out. And then just for contrast, I want to throw out the Games with Gold from Xbox, which is also a very good month and also doing very similar things. So first off, we have Forza Horizon 2. So, a couple generations back of the Horizon with the second one, but totally fine, totally reasonable game. People really like that game, so that's good. We are also getting For Honor. So that is an awesome one that they're giving out for August. Obviously a multiplayer-focused game. Ubisoft seems pretty content giving out their games on Plus after a while. I think they've given out Far Cry's and Assassin's Creeds, and they seem to give out their games, 2+ years after their time in the sun. So that's a really cool one to get. Dead Space 3 is being given out as well, which is awesome. And then obviously the backwards compatible. And then Epic Mickey 2, which I've heard is actually a fine game. Not a horrible game. Haven't played it, but not a horrible game. So not a bad month for either company. I'm way more excited about Dead by Daylight, though, because that's actually a game that I actively wanted to check out, but just didn't want to support because of their DLC practices. So now I get the best of both worlds. So moving on with the news, in some not great news, especially for me as somebody who collects video games, and I know they're not behind me, they're behind the camera and stuff, kind of my shelves of video games. But as somebody who collects games and likes physical versions and buys the complete edition of things and will swap in my normal or day one edition or whatever they're called to get the complete edition a year later when it comes down the line, and buys limited run games and stuff. This news really sucks. And that is the Spyro Reignited trilogy will only contain Spyro 1 on disc, and Spyro 2 and 3 will be downloaded. And this is not only for the Switch. This is for the PlayStation 4. This is for the Xbox One. This is for all the consoles. So that is a huge issue in my opinion, and raises quite a bit of red flags. And I've heard some people's opinions and things on this, and I do want to reiterate some of them because I'm kind of scared that they're true. First off, the argument that they won't fit on the disc is just absolutely wrong. Crash Bandicoot all fit onto their discs. The Switch versions of Crash Bandicoot, they could fit all of that onto their cartridges and their discs with plenty of space left over. So there's no way it's a space issue. And yes, I do think Spyro would take up more space than Crash Bandicoot, but not that much more space. So why would they be doing this? And the common conclusion is that the games aren't done. They aren't ready. Think about how little of the games that we've even seen. Yes, PlayStation's kind of shown off some stuff. They revealed Spyro 2 and all these things, but realistically, we haven't seen that much of these games. And I will play devil's advocate and say we didn't see that much of Crash Bandicoot either before it came out, and it came out and it was phenomenal. So that's not a direct clue that this is bad. But I will say we haven't seen a lot of 2 and 3, and there was another Activision game that had the same exact problem, and that was Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. That was also a game that they pushed out before it was ready, and then the game wasn't even done, and they just were like, yeah, you download the rest of the game. And that's completely unacceptable to me, and that is very much seemingly a publisher move, and I am concerned that possibly these games aren't finished, they aren't polished, they aren't done to the completion that they should be, or even the developers would want them to be, and Activision is saying, well, get it out the door, we'll make the discs, we'll press them, you guys keep working, and then we'll just throw it in as downloadable stuff. They'll have to download it anyway, so it won't be a big deal. And like just to hit that September release date so they're not on top of Red Dead or whatever it is. And I actually do kind of think that's what it is, and I am a little bit worried about this release. I think it is totally possible that that like Spyro 3 just isn't complete yet, like isn't, you know, perfect yet or how they want it yet. And we might notice that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Spyro reviews are a bit worse than the Crash Bandicoot reviews, which seemed like a completely finished product. But like I said, that's all speculation. I could be wrong. Maybe they're doing it for some other reason. Maybe that just the way that they're working on the games, they aren't actually able to put I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it is very suspicious to me. I will say one thing that Activision did do that I think was cool was with the Crash Bandicoot release, when they put it out on Xbox and when they put it to Switch, they added a new level, and they added, I believe, a level that was removed from the original Crash Bandicoot as well. So they added some content in, and then they redid the discs for PlayStation 4 with that additional content on them. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see another version of this game down the line that has all three of them all in that one disc, since they sort of did that with Crash Bandicoot. But to be fair, Crash also sold so much more than their expectations that I don't know. Does this deter me from getting Spyro? Yes, it actually does. Like, I don't think it's going to do it enough that I won't get Spyro, but I think I'm not going to pre-order Spyro. I think I'm going to wait and see what's up, because I'm concerned. And if I can't play Spyro day one, I think that's okay. I think that's reasonable. There's plenty of other games in September that I will have and be able to play, so I'm not like, you know, like upset that I am not going to be able to play Spyro day one. But I will say I am going to be cautious looking at Spyro and the way that they talk about this game for the next coming weeks. Next up, this is just news that keeps on snowballing. So first, Best Buy closed down Gamer Club Unlock. Next, Amazon UK shut off their pre-order incentives for video games. Next, GameStop has now canceled their GameStop Elite program perks. They announced through email that basically you had 1 or 2 days to renew it if you were interested in renewing it, and then the service is just leaving. Now, I don't typically... I'll buy things at GameStop if it's a good deal, but I don't typically shop at GameStop. So I had to go look up what the perks are, and this is kind of what I deduced. You get 20% off your pre-owned game purchases, so that's cool. Kind of like the pre-order incentives, but just for pre-owned games. You get 20% bonus trade-in credit, which might be the problem, honestly. You get 30 points per dollar spent. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure you can redeem these points for, you know, discounts or special Funko Pops or whatever it is they do there. And then I guess they have bonus incentives where you can get deals, and it says $50 worth of offers each month, I guess. So, interesting. Another company that is canceling perks for gamers, canceling bonuses and discounts and stuff. This is, as I said before, a worrying trend. I do think Amazon is going to follow suit by the end of the year. Amazon US, at least, is going to follow suit by the end of the year, and we will not have any company that is doing that. So I need to make sure personally that I write down, set an alarm, whatever I need to do for that Best Buy Gamers Club Unlocked release date or end date where my subscription runs out, so I can pre-order everything I need to pre-order, because save a lot of money with those programs, a lot of money. And I kind of think that more than any group of people that I've met, gamers dig for the deals. If they see something is mispriced, if they see, you know, potential value in something, they go after it. They attack that more than any other group of people that I've seen. And I think that might be the problem. I think that people are like, wow, they're like really buying a lot of stuff, and we are not making the money back that we should be doing these incentive programs. And I think it's quite possible it's just that. Or there's something going on behind the scenes, as we always talk about, and maybe that's what's going on. But anyway, another gaming focused deal gone in our world today. Next up, Spider-Man has gone gold. This was posted by a pretty humorous tweet. Spider-Man Gone Gold. Less known, Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider in particular, has also gone gold. So some September games are finishing up. They're being pressed, obviously. They'll probably both have day one patches. Good. I like, Nick always talks about how he really likes these announcements. It shows that the game is done. It shows that the game, it is a game. And unlike the Spyro announcement, this is kind of the exact opposite. This is them, announcing that the discs are ready. The master disc is made, ready to be mass produced and shipped to stores and stuff. So that is very, very exciting. My excitement for Spider-Man is so muted. I just don't care that much. I'm gonna play it for sure. I'll probably get it and I'll probably enjoy it. I imagine Spider-Man's a really cool hero, and I think he has pretty good villains, and I think that world and everything makes perfect sense for it. There's just something maybe it's superhero fatigue, maybe. I don't know what it is, but there is just something about the Spider-Man game that I'm just I just don't care. I'm just okay, cool. I guess I'll check it out, maybe. I don't know. That being said, Tomb Raider I'm super excited for. I think that has a chance to be my sleeper just game of the year. I loved Rise of the Tomb Raider so much. So much more than I thought I would. And Shadow of the Tomb Raider is easily the game that I want the most in September. I probably would have said Spyro before that, but all the Spyro news has me a little weary, so Shadow of the Tomb Raider, for sure, excited for that one. And I'm glad it has gone gold, and they seem to hit their release dates and stuff. They announce them, and they seem to hit them. I don't know, it's the tale of two Square Enixes. Next up, Colin Kaepernick's name has been removed from Madden 15, Madden 19, I believe it is. I think it's Madden 19. So basically, Colin Kaepernick, not on the roster for the game or anything like that. They technically don't have the rights to use him or whatever it is. For people who don't know, or maybe people who don't know American football or anything like that, Colin Kaepernick became a controversial figure because he started this movement of kneeling during the anthem, and he was like a C-list quarterback, and then people are like, why would we take somebody who's and controversial when we can take somebody who's and not controversial? And it just caused a whole bunch of problems, and then he says a lot of stuff in public that he probably shouldn't say, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so he's not on the roster for the game. That's fine. However, his name appears in a song that is in the game, and they censored the song. They actually bleeped it out like it was a curse word. And as everything is, you're either on this side or that side. These people are like, that's not right, blah blah blah, and the other people are like, they have total right to do that. And basically what it came down to is EA, Madden, they tweeted out and they said that whoever was in charge of doing the soundtrack and stuff didn't get the memo that his name was allowed to be in the game, and they are fixing it, and it will be patched in and corrected and fixed. They said it was a total accident that happened. It was just some miscommunication of some sort. So you can hear his name in the game. I hope you're happy. Next up, Fortnite will be bypassing the Google Play Store. So this is a really interesting story. So basically, Google Play Store takes a 30% cut of things that are sold on their store, in particular in-app purchases. So you spend $1, they take 30 cents of that. That is a lot of money. I mean, that is a sizable chunk. And Fortnite makes so much money, and they're going to make so much money. And it's going to be, huge when it launches on Android because that's such a big player base. Now that they're launching there, they're choosing to launch from their own website browser and their own downloader so that they don't have to pay the 30% of Google Play. Basically, they think that their name brand is big enough and their word of mouth is big enough, which it is, to not have to go through the Play Store. And I think that is I mean, it's a ballsy move, and maybe Google's looking at that and being like, maybe we should change our policy or talk to these guys and try and figure something out together, because obviously that's a lot of money that's being thrown away from Google with them doing that. But whatever they want to do, I think it seems like a solid business move for Fortnite, obviously, and Epic, and I can't wait to have Fortnite on my phone. I like it on my Switch. I love it on my PlayStation, though I can't crossplay, and it drives me up a wall. Well, crossplay is whatever. The cross progression thing, I'm still so furious that you can't bring your account over to Xbox and, more importantly, Switch. It just drives me crazy. But the fact that you're going to be able to bring it to your phone is huge because it allows me to do things like check the store, do a daily here and there, and it actually is cross progression with the PlayStation 4. So that'll be my mobile variant of choice. So. Going back to the Play Store thing, whatever. That's whatever. I'm just excited that Fortnite's finally coming to Android. Next up, Guerrilla Games has staffed up. Their staff originally was 250 people, which is quite a lot, and is now in the upwards of the 400 category. They said that they're looking to release a game every 2 to 3 years. Does this mean that Killzone is back? That was kind of the rumors, the rumblings that we were hearing over the past week or two. And yes, I think it does. I think they might be alternating Killzone and Horizon. We're going to see Horizon 2. There's no doubt about that. And I am 0% excited about it. Some people may know I didn't like Horizon very much. I didn't hate it. It's just I don't like those style games, and I don't understand what people saw in that game that made it so incredible, besides graphically and technically, because both those things, yes. But like the game didn't move the needle at all for me in that genre. And Killzone is a series that I really like, and I'm glad that it is possibly not dead, because I thought for sure it was just done for. The first-person Sony doesn't really have a first-person shooter market. Killzone was their best attempt at it, and it didn't fail, but it wasn't Halo. You know, they wanted Halo. It wasn't Halo. But I really love Killzone 2. I think Killzone 2 is phenomenal. Killzone 3, I think, is really good. Mercenary, I think, is the second best Killzone. I think it is right up there with Killzone 2. And then I think Shadowfall is really good too, but also a little bit too Call of Duty. I hope that if they are redoing Killzone, they can reinvent it, not make Shadowfall 2 and not make Killzone 2. Like, do something new. There was a weight and this like first person cover based shootery mechanics, and it was a hero shooter before hero shooters were everything. They had all these classes and they had really cool abilities and perks that people had. Like the sniper could go completely invisible and can also register where everybody's hitboxes for their head, so that they could snipe them. And you know, they had that hero shooter mentality that's so popular now that I think they could really, really overhaul the game and make it something super special and popular and all that stuff. And they better do it quickly, because there's not many years left on the PlayStation 4, and I think they will find most success on the PlayStation 4. Though I honestly wouldn't be surprised if, like Shadowfall, Killzone, whatever, Shadowfall 2 or whatever this is going to be, is a launch title for PlayStation 5. I could totally see that. Next up, Shantae has added a pajama outfit to Half Genie, Half Hero. So this is just a silly little update that they're putting out as a thank you. I'm a really big fan of Shantae and the Shantae games. I actually like them more the more that I think about them. They are an example of a game that came out with like a complete edition. I actually think I'm going to swap my regular edition for the complete edition sometime later this year and play through it again with all the added benefits that they've added on to the game since launch. But this is just another one of those. It's a free update to all versions of the game, and it is going to add her in her pajamas, and with that, it's different attacks. You can like summon sheep and attack things with pillows, and the game is very quirky and silly. It's side-scroller action game, and it fits in really well with that world, surprisingly. Also, she has the ability to dance and transform into different animals and objects, and they are adding the Sophia from Blaster Master as another transformation. They are the company that did Blaster Master Zero, which is a game I think is so underappreciated on Switch, and they're adding the ability to transform into that. And in the trailer, it played the Blaster Master music, which is one of my favorite like opening songs of all time. And I hope that means that Blaster Master Zero might be coming to some other places. Maybe more people can play that game because I really like it. But anyway, free update. Anybody who has Shantae, go check it out. I don't remember exactly when it's going live, but I know it is either very soon or by the end of the month. Like it should be live. Finally, in the biggest news story to everybody who's on this podcast, Persona Q2 has gotten an official Japanese trailer. On top of that, it got a release date for Japan. On top of that, it is November 29th, 2018. So it is coming this year to Japan, which is something that really threw me off. I thought for sure this would be like a late 2019 game. I didn't think it was close at all. But boy, is that an awesome trailer. Obviously, it's in Japanese, so I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm sure there's translations and stuff of it by now. It just went live earlier today for us when I was filming. But it looks fantastic. They have not only the P4 and P5 people, which I assumed, but the Persona 3 team is back in it. So we're going to get that trio, which is amazing. I can't wait to see how they all interact and play off each other and everything. It's going to really add depth, I think, to the Persona 5 cast, which is who needs it the most. They're definitely the lightest on the like hanging out and best buds portions of the game, and anything like this is super delightful to get. On top of that, at the end of the trailer, P3 female protagonist shows up, Minako, and I was so excited. That made me so happy. I think she's a really great character. I think that her music and her personality and stuff is different for sure than Makoto, but I think fits in well and it should also be embraced because they have really ditched her, which is, their prerogative, but they haven't shown her in like anything talked about. Like they made that and they just stopped. And it's nice to see that they're acknowledging her just like they acknowledged Theodore. They've acknowledged him a whole bunch, and it's just weird that they don't acknowledge kind of the other half. So I'm so glad to see that she's in this game as well. Had me smiling, ear to ear. With that said, when are we going to see this? When's the rest of the world going to see this? I would probably say mid-2019 would be my guess, judging off maybe like the dancing games and how long it took them to get here. But I will say that the localization for this is going to be drastically higher than the dancing games because it's not just, there's actual conversations and things to consider with Q. Now, with that said, Persona Q is on the 3DS and Q2 is also on the 3DS, and I don't feel great about that. Like, I don't want to play on 3DS. I have my 3DS. It's over there. It's actually in a Persona Q case, and the amount of times a year I think about playing that thing optimistically is exactly 0. Like, I really don't like the 3DS, and I really wish that this game had a sliver of hope of coming to the Switch. I just don't think it did. I think it was probably being planned and developed before the Switch kind of took off, and it's a little unfortunate, and I will get it, obviously, as a huge Persona fan, but I'm not excited about it. I'm not excited about playing on the 3DS, legitimately, at all. But something I am excited about is that the Persona 5 and 3 dancing games apparently have a release date. So this is interesting. Their Atlas's website updated when Persona Q2's trailer dropped, and they put a release date of December 4th for Persona 3 dancing and for Persona 5 dancing. So it is possible that those are or around the release dates that we are going to, or the rest of the world is going to get those games. So that's super exciting. I think those games are totally worth it. I think 3 is the one to get if you can only get one of them. And they said 2019, so like I say don't get too excited about this news because I do think it's quite possible that it's not true, but it did happen. It did update, and it is possible. And on top of that, Catherine's supposed to be coming out. Like, Catherine Full Body is supposed to be coming out around that time, but I don't know if they've announced that that's Japan only or not. So I'll have to see. I'll have to look into that and figure it out. But super excited for, Fem P3 main character protag to be acknowledged. Super excited that it has Persona 3 in general in Q2. Not super excited that it's on the 3DS, but I am super excited that the dancing games seem to be coming sooner rather than later. And that's it for the news, though. I do want to add on something, and we'll know the answer to it by the time this goes live, so it's a little useless. But basically, Arc System at EVO has a sign-up that has kind of their releases over the past couple of years, and it says 2019, and it has Kill la Kill, which we know and we've seen a trailer for, and I think doesn't look great. And, it looks good, just the gameplay doesn't look great to me. And then under that, they have another game that has question marks as its title, so they're going to announce another game at EVO, probably already happened by the time this goes live. With that said, Arc System, what game could it possibly be? And more importantly, is it Persona 5 Arena? I think that there is a high probability that it actually is. It's possible it's Guilty Gear or something along those lines. But just the fact that they're announcing all these Persona things right now and all those websites, those domains that Atlas acquired, leaked, or, people figured them out. And they've all been true so far. We did get P3 dancing. We did get P5 dancing. We did get PQ too. Like, P5 Arena's got to be next, and I could totally, absolutely, easily see it being a 2019 game. So I'm putting my money on P5 Arena, but we will have to see what it actually ends up being. Let's move into some questions. So if you have any questions that you would like answered on the show, please leave them in the comments down below. This week, I actually stole a question from another podcast because I thought it was a really good question. I stole it from Sacred Symbols, which was Colin Moriarty, who was at IGN, went to Kinda Funny, left, started Colin's Last Stand side quests, and then launched Sacred Symbols, which is a PlayStation-focused podcast. Had a question on the show, and I was like, that is a really good question that I've never heard anybody ask on any podcast, and I listen to a lot of podcasts. So with that said, I wanted to steal it. And the question was, what theme do you have as your PlayStation 4 theme? And I'll kind of go over a couple things. But so what theme do you use for your consoles? And I thought that was such a good question, and I actually wanted to steal it and use it for the show. So here we go. My PlayStation 4 Pro, which is my main one, I have the Shadow of the Colossus theme. I think it's super unintrusive, which is most important for me in a theme, though I'm going to be a hypocrite about that in a second. I think it's super unintrusive. It sounds like you're outside. The audio that it gives off is a very like screensaver vibe. It's not too intrusive. It pans. It's a dynamic theme, so it's interesting, but it's not crazy or, bright and distracting. So that's my main theme. The other theme that I use sometimes is the 20th anniversary PlayStation theme, which has the original boot up noise from the PlayStation 1 and has all the sound effects and things of the PlayStation 1. Sometimes I use that theme. So I'll kind of hop between those. That's my Pro. On my regular PlayStation 4, I use the Persona 5 themes. I use this very rarely. It's basically for streaming or maybe to like watch a movie or something or like bring somewhere for like a party. It's kind of my like throw it around PlayStation 4. This one I use my Persona theme. So I have the Ryuji Persona theme. I have Yusuke. I have a couple of them. And I just cycle them based on when I get tired of the song, which is very rarely because Persona music is really good. And yeah, so I basically leave it on that most of the time. Xbox. I don't think they have themes on Xbox One, but mine's set to purple. So that's my answer for Xbox One. PlayStation 3, I'm just going to go over all the consoles that I use. PlayStation 3, my theme is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which is always something that I thought was really cool, and I actually have them for PS4 as well. On the collection for Kingdom Hearts, if you beat the game, you actually unlock a theme, which is something that I think every game should do. I think every game should give you a theme, a dynamic theme for getting the platinum. I really do believe that. And or maybe even, hear me out, what if it was like this? What if there was a dynamic theme that was just your trophies? So it was like a really nice looking trophy screen, like a tile almost, and it was like a Bloodborne background and the platinum trophy, if you had that one. And as you got more platinums, it updated and like added all of your platinums, and it just kind of scrolled, and it was this nice little theme. I think that would be really, really cool, actually. I got myself excited about it. And just every game has its own unique like tile that you can add to your collection as a theme. That'd be cool. Anyway, yeah, if you beat the Kingdom Hearts games on the collections, you unlock a theme. And I have one of the Kingdom Hearts themes on my PlayStation 3. I believe it is Birth by Sleep. On my Switch, I have it on the dark mode or whatever it's called. You can't really do themes, I don't think, on there. But it's something that was rumored and I believe was faked. I think that they announced that was a fake rumor. With that said, I'm sure themes are coming if they haven't been announced. I don't particularly remember, but I'd do a Splatoon theme. Pretty cut and dry. I'd do a Splatoon theme. Other than that, I think that's it for consoles. My Vita. I have Persona 4 Dancing theme. I have the Persona 4 Dancing Vita, which I've unboxed on the channel way back years and years ago. And I still just use that theme and that scheme. I've never gotten tired of it. I've never gotten bored of it. And so I just always leave that on. But that's about it for the themes that I actually use on consoles that I actually still play. But I really like that question, so I wanted to go ahead and answer that. And then that's basically it. I'm going to hop into the releases. It's a pretty light week for releases. A couple interesting things, but pretty light week overall. Like I said before, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have any critiques, anything like that, please leave them down below, and I'll be sure to read them and get to them and possibly answer them on the next episode. So let's move into the releases and then get out of here. So the first release is going to be Overcooked 2 for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, coming August 7th. Sequel to Overcooked. Overcooked is a phenomenal two-player game, and I imagine a blast of a four-player game. It is a Hell's Kitchen style game where two people I'll explain it as playing it co-op. Two people are working in the kitchen. There's dishes that all have timers on them, and you need to make those dishes and ship them out. And it starts out easy enough. You get a plate, you get a hamburger bun, you cut up some meat, you cook it, you put the meat on, you put the lettuce on, you put the cheese on, you put the bun on, ship it out. Easy peasy. But then the levels start fighting back. So maybe the level splits in half and suddenly you can't get to the cheese. So you need to anticipate the level splitting in half and go get the cheese early. Or maybe there's ice and you need to run across the kitchen, but the floor is slippery and you can slide off the edge and lose whatever you were holding. And so they put you in these scenarios that make it very difficult. Then on top of that, you're playing co-op, so you're bumping into each other, launching each other off the map by accident, things like you're running into each other. It's a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare in the best way possible. Then, in these levels that are splitting up and things are getting blocked off, you really need to coordinate and pass things to each other. You can't send the meal out until it's finished, and there's these timers on the meal, so you need to make sure that you're doing it in time and getting a better score and passing in, getting the 3-star ranking and all this stuff. So you're yelling at the person that you need the lettuce over here, and you need, you're going to need meat here, and the meat's been on too long, so it catches on fire, and now it's spreading, and you got to put out the fire with a fire extinguisher, and it's just so much fun, such a great two-player game. And Overcooked 2 looks like it does everything the first one did and ups the ante. It's possible that it does do the Nidhogg 2 type thing where it's a little bit too much and they went too far and you're like, But I think it's going to be great. I think this game is going to be really, really great. Next up, Dead Cells coming to the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC August 7th. So I don't know too much about this game. I have heard good things, but I personally can't speak to it. Next, Okami HD is coming to the Switch August 9th. This is Capcom supporting the Switch as Capcom has been doing. They brought every Resident Evil, every cash grabby Resident Evil that they've made. They're just bringing them over to the Switch, and I imagine a lot of the good ones are going to start showing up too. I wouldn't even be surprised if Resident Evil 7 shows up someday on the Switch. I think it could totally work, especially because they got Wolfenstein 2 working. So I think Resident Evil 7 can work, especially because that game is so dark. There's a lot of stuff that you can hide. But anyway, Okami, obviously a cherished game. People really, really love it. I have it. Haven't actually played the HD Okami yet. I bought it for PS4, and I just haven't gotten around to it, and now I wish I didn't buy it for PS4, because I think I'd prefer to play this game on Switch. It is, as people like to say, the best Zelda game that's not a Zelda game, about a good boy wolf, and the art style holds up so well to this day. That cel-shaded style just never goes out of style. And I hope this does really well, and Capcom continues to keep bringing these collections. Like the Mega Man collection came over. There was the Saturday Morning Cartoon collection, that Disney one, that I don't think actually ended up on Switch, but it may be now, and if not, I imagine it will be. They've just been porting everything over, the Street Fighters and everything, so good on them. Next up, Monster Hunter World is coming to the PC August 9th. This is, I know, a big news for Nick, though. He said he regrets a little bit not playing it on the PlayStation 4. That was a game that was a little bit of a flash in the pan. It showed up, everybody loved it for like a month, and then it did fizzle out. And I think they admittedly said that it fizzled out before they wanted it to, or before they thought it would, which is slightly unfortunate for, once again, Capcom, but I'm sure this version will sell very well and have its own player base on the PC, and I imagine get a bunch of the cool events that the console version's already got. And on top of that, they said that they're going to be rolling out the console updates to this game, the PC version of the game, slowly as time goes on. So kind of, keeping the carrot in front of people so they stick with it. Next up, Ben, NFL 19 is coming to the PS4, Xbox One, and PC August 10th. Not too much to say about here. It's another Madden. It had that controversy that we talked about, 20 minutes ago. If you like Madden, you probably already got it pre-ordered. If you don't like Madden, you probably don't care. I personally buy one Madden a console generation, and I already have my Madden. I usually buy the first Madden that comes out for a console, unless it's complete garbage. Like the 360 one was. I believe when the 360 launched, that version of Madden was just like terrible. So I waited 2 or 3 years before I picked one up. But I always get one for a console generation. I usually play it around like playoff Super Bowl time, and I'll mess around with it, and it's fun or whatever, but I never get too deep into those games at all. And then a very, very interesting and exciting one for me is We Happy Few is coming to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, August 10th. Now, I'm curious and interested in this for many reasons. One, this is the full single-player experience for this game, which is what I want to play. That thing, that early access thing did not interest me at all. So I totally don't care about that. With that said, I'm nervous about this game. I think it has a chance to be terrible. I think it has a chance to be awesome. So I'm going to wait and see, and if it's awesome, I'll pick it up. It's just interesting because this is now an Microsoft Studios game. Microsoft purchased the developers of this game, so very similar to Minecraft, this is a Microsoft game that is going to be appearing on the PlayStation 4 and of course PC. They put a lot of games on PC. It's just interesting. They could pull the plug on the PS4 version and make this exclusive if they really wanted to, and I just can't shake the fact that if Sony were to have bought them, there's no way that this would be coming out on Xbox One. Maybe they had the deal. I don't know how deals work behind the scenes. Maybe they had a deal already that they couldn't back out of or something. That totally makes sense, and that's totally possible. But I don't know. It's just strange that I might be buying this Microsoft Studios game on my PlayStation 4 in a week. It's very strange to me. But yeah, I hope the game's awesome. It gives me a very BioShock vibe, with its way of storytelling and its environments and stuff. I hope it can live up to the 2 demos that they showed. Every time they showed at E3, it looks amazing, and then every time I see streams and stuff of it, I'm like, ugh, I don't know about this game. So I hope it's more like the E3 stuff. But we'll have to say, like I said, I'll wait and see if I want to pick it up, and I'll pick it up if I do. But that is it for the releases, the opinions, and the news this week in the world of video games. I hope you didn't mind that it was a more intimate episode this time, just kind of me hanging out here. I'm going to, like I said, tweak my schedule, figure out what I can do, how to give you guys the best content and the best podcast possible. But that's it for this week. So thank you so much for watching, and I will speak with you next time.